And our next speaker today is Tony Kappen from Agilent. Tony is a solutions manager who's working on digital innovations team at Agilent. He's got over 10 years of experience in the tech industry, starting as a software engineer, and now he's currently overseeing product strategy and solutions implementation at Agilent. So we'll turn it over to Tony, and you can either use this mic.
I'll use this one. Hi, good afternoon all, and this is my first time at the Allotrope conference. Lots of learning, lots of amazing information that's being shared here. And my presentation today is focused on how, as a company, that we are leveraging Allotrope data models to improve the lab productivity. Myself, Tony, I'm solutions manager. I've come under the digital lab innovations team, which what a team does, I will be touching in my presentation sometime later. So this is a safe harbor slide. We put this because our lawyers tell us to put it. So the features that we discuss, the gist of this is the features that we discuss in the presentation today might or might not be implemented in the future. So when we look at our end users who are using Agilent devices and instruments, with the advent of AI, we are seeing a lot of emphasis on data. And the question that they have is, now, if I buy something new, that's going to be a huge CapEx cost. So what can I do with my existing instrument set so that I'm able to manage my manage it within the OpEx parameters? And that's where organizations like Allotrope has been a great help for us, because because of the data standardization capability the Allotrope organization provides, we are able to standardize on a data format that is acceptable across industry, and it is well documented for our end user adoption as well. And it is solving a lot of data challenges. When we look at from our customer's perspective, there are data that is siloed within the instrument, siloed in the lab context, and siloed across labs within the organization. And the only way to bring all of this together is to adhere to a standardized format, and to bring it together at cost as well is to again adhere to a standardized format. And that is where we see, as a manufacturer, being a very open and flexible by developing a set of technologies would greatly benefit our customers. So and I would like to touch upon digitization and the way we see it. So sometime like last year when I was speaking to the customer, before all the OpenAI hype that happened, a lot of our customers were saying, when we speak about digitization, first step we are going to do is stop all paper operations in the lab. We are going to be migrating to some kind of an ELN, a LIMS, etc. And they say that our customers say that we will be dealing with this by coming up with the way we design our experiments or schedule our experiments, then how we put all of these experiments into a test into different instruments, and how we do the analysis, and finally how we mine these experiments for data. And the way I look at it is that data has become let's say a foundation to enable all of this, to do this at scale, because I think digitization is like a phase one of the lab journey. But going forward, as our customers acquire maturity, the next step is going to be automation, and eventually we will get to a scale where it will be a fully lights out autonomous lab. And I don't think it's in the near future. We are doing this. Our team is doing that kind of implementation even today, and I'll be touching on that on a slide. So what I think, because there was a lot of discussion today with regard to you're going to certify whether your hypothesis is correct by doing a wet lab test. And I think, with optimizations with our AI and ML models, that is going to be the paradigm in the future. And it will be as simple as somebody just feeding a vial to some kind of like an input system, if it is like, if it is in a discovery phase. And they put all of they just, feed that into a window, and the robotic arm comes and picks it up, and, it's all lights out. You are notified when your test of interest is actually completed. So, I need to give you give an intro about our Agilent software ecosystem before I go about speaking with how we will be leveraging Allotrope instruments. So for sample prep, this can be a human action, or it can be a robotic action, which is tightly connected to a sample management system. It can be LIMS, ELN, LES, MES, pick your choice. But Agilent does have its own version of its LIMS/LES system called SLIMS. The next product that I would like to bring into your focus is Agilent Sample Scheduler. It's used to improve the instrument utilization efficiency. So you go into Sample Scheduler, you know what instruments are free or when it will be free, and it is also used a lot within automation as well. So what it does is it has a bunch of APIs working at the back, which connects to your automation engine. It is any automation engine that is actually using these APIs, and you can feed and you can use Sample Scheduler to know like which Agilent instrument is free at that given instant and feed those samples in there. Then we have the actual measurement kind of like acquisition software called OpenLab CDS. This is a software that is used to interact with all the HPLCs, the GCs, single quad HPLCs, single quad mass spec instruments. And finally, we have the OpenLab electronic content management system, where we put all of this information that you have acquired from all the measurement instruments in a centralized data location. The focus of today's presentation would be the two data generators, that is the OpenLab CDS and OpenLab EDCM, because that's where we are leveraging a lot. We are using the Allotrope Foundation data models. So how we are embracing the data model to support the vendor neutral data. When we look at it from a laboratory context, we see three different types of data. You have the lab data stream, it can be sample information, method information. Then you have the real-time instrument run data stream. It can be telemetry, run control, or how your instrument is actually behaving at that given instant of time. Then the final analytical results, which all the scientists, lab managers, etc., very much are interested in. The focus of today's presentation would be mostly on the analytical data stream, and how this analytical data stream, like Agilent as a manufacturer, we generate our instrument in a proprietary file format. We will be exporting that data into the Allotrope data model format, like ASM or ADF, and it is going to give us amazing outputs, because when we are exporting to the Allotrope data model, we are able to come to an existing existing lab and say, okay, this would work with your existing instrument stack. Number two is you are able to control our instruments using a third-party software or like a automation software, so which helps us interoperate. Finally, you can connect this to a third-party data analysis software right out of the back, by interconnecting with our existing software stack. And that's where I believe the Allotrope data model is going to play big roles and help us be very flexible, when we approach a lab. So we have three approaches in development for exporting ASM out of our ASM/ADF out of our instruments. The first is the OpenLab CDS export. So, and the second is like we export the ASM files from our content management system. We are looking into exporting. Finally, we are looking into exporting the high-end mass spec data into like an ADF-like format. Still playing around with it, but we'll let you know when we make great progress. But I'm interested to speak with somebody who has worked with with high-end mass spec data, because there's a lot of data that is generated when we look at it at like a raw data level and a process data level. So looking forward to connecting with you. A little bit more in detail on the workstation model. So here you have like an acquisition software, OpenLab CDS, that is connected to your an instrument. You acquire the data, the raw data is processed, and automatically the ASM is exported to the original directory where the data, the processed results are present. This is actually deployed in our co-creation partner site at Swisscat, and they have been extensively using this to build out their lights out autonomous lab. We have also integrated ASM export for Waters Empower database. I would like to recognize Heiko, who's joined this call virtually, who has been extensively working on this project. So what happens is we have a connector that is connected that works with the Empower database. Whenever a new record entry hits the Empower database, we read that record, convert the file into ASM, and put it into our content management system. And this can be accessed through APIs from our content management system for further data analytics. Finally, this is a project and solution that which is very near and dear to me. So what we see is when we are generating these ASM files, we want to do this from a centralized location. And how we are doing this is you acquire data, you will have like, let's say a 10 LCs in your lab, all connected to a centralized content management system. And you do your post-processing, you do your peak integration and stored there. And now all of that is connected to a translation service. What this does is, as soon as the acquired data hits the ECM, we read that, we convert it to ASM or ADF based on customer preference, and push it into the customer's data lake. So here, what we are trying to do is we are going to diverge from how the content management is still going to be an archival solution, and the translation service is going to be for AI, ML, analytics, whatnot. So this would help, for an end user, this would be greatly beneficial because, one, you are able to get versioned ASM files out of the content management system. So for example, you do your initial data acquisition, you do a peak integration, now you're going to reintegrate your peaks. So you have two different peak properties now, and these two peak properties will develop two separate ASM files, which you can use into your analytical system. On top of that, we are building a messaging and queuing service. What this does is, say you're building a custom piece of code, or you're integrating with the third-party software. The third-party software can subscribe to the messages in the queuing service to be notified that, hey, a new result file, ASM file is available. You can ingest it. And we see this usually this approach being taken for those customers who are doing on-prem deployment. Just give me a minute. This particular solution would be cloud agnostic and can be deployed both on-prem and on the cloud, irrespective of cloud providers. So we envision that this is going to aid a lot with integration with third-party software within the lab. It's going to be a very lightweight solution, but depending on how we are going to very lightweight for you to connect. And I believe it's going to be very cost-effective as well from a data processing perspective. Finally, this is one of our customer success stories. This is a lab based out of Europe, Lausanne, Switzerland. And this is an academic lab completely lights out autonomous lab. They have, they have deployed multiple chromatography and mass spec instruments. They have developed their own automation software, and they interact with Agilent software through the sample scheduler and data acquisition. To do the data acquisition, results are converted into ASM files. Post-conversion, there are two pathways those take. One is to decide what is the next experimental or test that you're going to run, and two is how can tools like using a machine learning model to identify new compounds or do reference matching with your existing compounds. And it has been very, I think ASM has been really great for them for being used as like a vendor neutral data format, and it has been quite, they're able to achieve a lot faster within a short amount of time because of the open democratization of the data. Finally, a little bit about our team. We come under the Digital Lab Innovations team. We would like to work with other industry partners or biopharma, biotech, pharma, applied materials companies to develop the next generation of features that they want to see in the lab. So we provide solutioning for that. We could provide recommendations, and I'm happy to talk with anybody who would like to get your perspective on where and how the data side of things should be moving. And please do reach out to me. That would be the end of my presentation. Questions?